You're watching the Pelham Pulse with Nino and John. If you have topic interest, questions, or comments, please write to thepelhampulse@gmail.com.
My name is Nino Jafrida.
And I'm John Russell. Welcome to the Pelham Pulse.
Thanks for joining us for our first episode of the Pelham Pulse, a community-centered talk show that covers everything Pelham. Our goal is to highlight what's happening in and around Pelham. Each episode will focus on topics like town updates, local events, introductions to local businesses, political happenings, and conversations with community members and leaders.
We hope to inform, connect, and inspire our community through open, honest, and authentic conversations. Real conversations, real people, real Pelham. Nino, thanks for inviting me to do this show. I think it's a great idea. I'm super excited to have some fun and see where this goes. I am curious where you got the idea to do the show.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I have a family friend who does a show like this in Methuen where I grew up, and I thought it was such a great idea. I've watched her show over the past year and found it to be really fun and informative, especially when it came to local topics. I thought it'd be a fantastic idea to bring this to Pelham. There's a lot of misinformation in today's society with opinionated posts on social media that lacks real information. There's also different levels of engagement with people who are well-informed, misinformed, or not informed at all. My hope is that this will be a good way to inform all residents of what's happening around town.
I love it. I think it's a great idea. Nino and I have a ton of fun ideas and special guests lined up for the future as well. So if you're watching the show,
I know my mom is.
Your mom's watching. And have any questions, comments, things you'd like to hear, see, or talk about, please send them our way.
Yeah, and we'll share our email later in the show, so please send us a message if you have any thoughts or anything in general.
Nino, you and I have known each other for a couple of years now. For those who you haven't had the opportunity to meet, why don't you give us some background and tell us about yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. I grew up just a couple miles away in Methuen and moved to Pelham in 2023 with my mom and dad, grandmother, and little brother Nick, who goes to Pelham High School. Pelham became home for me very quickly, not just a place to live, but a place to invest my time, my energy, and my future. I was elected to the Budget Committee and appointed as an alternate on the Planning Board in 2025. And as you know, I can't just sit here and read this teleprompter to tell people about myself.
Then don't.
Yeah, about Pelham, forget about the Planning Board, the Budget Committee, and all that. That's not who I am. What I like to do is just engage myself in the community and help wherever I can. So I've started off small, coaching basketball with John, and just trying to do whatever I can to help the community.
And you've done a great job, Nino. I've watched you flourish over the last couple of years after being introduced by a mutual friend, Kerry, and you've done an amazing job. And you're for a 21-year-old young man, you've been really fun and impressive to watch over the last couple of years.
Thank you. So, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've lived in Pelham since 2012. I've joked about this several times since I've lived here. I didn't know anything about Pelham. I wasn't interested in moving to Pelham when my wife came with a new development to go look at. My initial thought was no. When I saw the house and the price tag we bought when the market was super low, I jumped at the chance. And when we got to know the town and especially the village green and the community, it's next to marrying my wife was the best decision we ever made.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it here. I have 2 kids in the school system. I've spent some time in the budget committee, on the school board. I've coached hundreds of kids in town over the years, and I love it here. I really do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that we both found our mutual friend, Kerry. So thank you for introducing us if you're watching, hopefully. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back.
You're watching the Pelham Pulse with Nino and John. If you have topic interest, questions, or comments, please write to thepelhampulse@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Pelham Pulse. Nino, new year, new open positions for our local elections.
Yes, this is the fun part of the year. So the following positions are available are up for the March election. So the select board has 3 seats, 2 3 years, and 1 year. The budget committee has 3 seats for 3 years. Nice and simple. The planning board has 2 seats for 3 years. The library trustees have 2 seats for 3 years. The supervisors of the checklist has 1 seat for 6 years. The town moderator has 1 seat for 5. And the trustee of trust funds is 1 seat for 3 years. And the school board has 1 seat for a 3-year term.
It's a lot of positions and a lot of seats need to be filled. Nino, there are also alternate positions available, right? Can you tell me about those? How do you become an alternate? What is an alternate do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm currently an alternate on the planning board. An alternate is an appointed position that the board specifically appoints to be a part of. If a voting member is absent, then the alternate takes the seat of the voting member. So, for example, since I'm an alternate, if one of the planning board members can't make it or has to recuse themselves, then I would go in for that member and be a full voting right member. Now, with that being said, I also, even if the full board is present and all voting members are there, I could still be a part of every conversation that takes place and still give my opinion, which I think is very important to do, because if there's a project in front of the board that we've been talking about for 3 weeks or something, and then maybe on the 2nd or 3rd week a member's absent, I want to be informed of what's been going on with that specific project so I can vote the correct way.
That's very cool. Nino, before March 11th, before voting day, we still have deliberative sessions for town and school. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the town deliberative session is very important. It's on Tuesday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. in Sherburne Hall. And the school deliberative session, because they're 2 separate things, is the following evening, February 4th at 7 p.m., also in Sherburne Hall. Town and school budgets are completely separate.
So I'd never attended a deliberative session until I was a member of the school board. So for those of you that have never attended one, maybe don't know what they are, a town deliberative session is a formal public meeting where residents gather to review, discuss, and vote on proposed warrant articles before Election Day. Think of it as a discussion and amendment phase of town government where registered voters can hear explanations of proposed budget items, warrant articles, ask questions of town officials and committees, debate and amend those articles, and decide what exact wording will appear. No final budgets are adopted at the meeting itself, but what's decided here controls what voters see later on.
Yeah, if you've never attended a deliberative session, I'd strongly encourage you to attend this year's and be heard.
They're actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's take a short break. When we return, we'll be joined by our friend Chief Anne Perriello of the Pelham Police Department.
You're watching the Pelham Pulse with Nino and John. If you have topic interests, questions, or comments, please write to thepelhampulse@gmail.com.
Chief, welcome to our first episode of the Pelham Pulse. Thank you so much for being here. We got you a little present. It's our Pelham Pulse cup. We hope you like it.
Thank you.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about yourself and, just tell us a little bit about you.
So I am nearing completing my 25th year with the town of Pelham with the police department. I've been the chief for about 3.5 years, and through my career in Pelham, pretty much wore almost every hat possible. So worked in the schools, rode the motorcycle, worked detectives, did some undercover stuff, was a road sergeant, a lieutenant that worked with internal investigations and detectives and overseeing patrol. One of my big investments, and it is an investment for our entire agency and the town, is with accreditation. So we are nationally accredited, and I have been actively involved with that, and specifically when we received our first national accreditation award. A lot of work. So what that is this outside entity, which we're under CALEA. CALEA is an outside entity that actually looks at all of our files to make sure we're doing best practices. It reduces the liability. It actually reduces the liability insurance for the town of Pelham with the police department as well. So best practices, they're found through case law. So that's something that I have continued and is continued to be one of our goals with the police department. So grew up in Chelmsford, Mass. I do a lot of boating, a lot of golf on my free time, and just enjoy life. Life's short.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that.
25 years.
Right.
What brought you to Pelham?
So
And what made you stay?
That is what brought me to Pelham is I grew up in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
In Massachusetts in the late 90s when I was graduating college, a lot was going on as far as with wars in civil service.
Mm-hmm.
So in Massachusetts, for you to get hired in law enforcement, you pretty much had to be a veteran because you went to the top of the list. I went the college route, went and played sports at UMass Lowell, and went that avenue. So it was hard to get hired in Mass. So you saw an influx in really Merrimack Valley student athletes come up to southern New Hampshire. So I just started testing in southern New Hampshire and was offered a job in Pelham.
Cool.
And accepted the job on a Friday. And then I got a phone call to be the head field hockey coach at UMass Lowell on a Monday. So I actually turned Pelham down at that point and coached a season and a half at UMass Lowell as the head field hockey coach, and then came back to Pelham. So Joe Rourke, who is the retired chief now and the town administrator, saw my name on a list.
Who, by the way, does a great job.
He does. He does an excellent job. Good role model. He saw my name on a list, so he reached out to me. And ironically, he and I were both Chelmsford alumni. We both grew up in Chelmsford.
That's right, too. My wife is also from Chelmsford.
Exactly. North Chelmsford.
No-cho?
Yep, no-cho.
No-cho?
But what got me to stay? How about that?
Yes.
So small agency, I can't sit still. I want to be doing something, and something needs to challenge my brain regularly. And this agency has never stopped me from taking on projects, from stepping out of the box and doing something that's like uncomfortable, joining task force for like internet crimes against children. They were just, that carrot was just dangling in front of me, and that motivation to keep learning was there. So then you're investing in this town and what we're doing, and then you're buying into some ownership for the agency itself, and it makes you take pride, similar to the world of athletics, in that uniform, but take pride in this is us, this is our team, and we're gonna be good, we're gonna be the best out there.
And you portray that, the pride that comes from the department into the community. It's inspiring and it's contagious. Small town. Yeah. Real busy.
Very busy.
What does a typical day look like in a tiny town as Chief Perriello?
So as a chief, there's never a day that is the same. Same as a patrolman. Mine is probably more organized than theirs because I have meetings, I'm involved. The chairperson of our Highway Safety Committee, I'm the president of Hillsborough County Chiefs of Police. I'm the third vice president of New Hampshire Chiefs of Police. So I do a load of networking, because that networking brings you knowledge to make your agency better. And then when you're getting knowledge, you're learning things that are working for some departments and not for others. So you listen and you sit back and you take the good and the bad that's going on around the state, and you apply that to your goals and your vision and how to make your agency better. So my day can change every single day. Policies. Mondays, we have a staff meeting with my administrative command staff every Monday. That goes almost 3 hours, and that's like a summary of what took place over the weekend. What are our goals for the week? What are we looking at? Do we need to put anything in order? How is training going? Do we need to make any changes? how's morale, you name it. It's an open dialogue conversation with my 2 lieutenants, my captain, and my administrative assistant. So after that, each day is a little different. Some are short days, meaning like 8 hours. Majority are at least 12. And it doesn't matter if you go home, your phone, you're on, you take the oath to work 24/7.
Okay.
So that's part of the package.
Actually, I have a question for that.
Sure.
A little off topic. But when you say 24/7, I was wondering, I was actually driving past the police station, and I was thinking, like, are you like constantly like working? Like, do you have days off? Like, can you go on vacation? Like, how does that work? You're our chief.
Yeah, you can definitely take days off. You can take vacations.
Yeah.
My phone does not shut off. So I won't necessarily be the one that is now, if they need a supervisor on a scene, going out unless it is a large incident.
Right.
And it's involving a lot of different people. Like this year we had an officer-involved shooting. That's all hands on deck. I am definitely in for that. Fatalities, you have a lot of moving parts, and you have people who have lost loved ones. Myself and the captain or one of the lieutenants, we make those notifications. You show up to that.
Yeah.
But can I go home on a Friday night and not come in for the weekend into the office? I can. But I will probably get contacted at least once or twice about just an FYI, this was going on.
That's awesome.
I'm big with, you want to know the answers to the questions before the questions are asked. So it's just communication.
Right. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Chief, you had mentioned morale. And in light of things going on around the country, in most major cities today, how is morale within the department? And how does that impact the community itself?
That's a heavy question. And I'll tell you it's heavy because morale is what keeps a small agency going. And it gets people happy to show up and actually do their job. Morale right now, our meter is pretty high. I know that you guys want to talk about our new 4-legged friend that we brought in. That just brought the meter up even higher. I think we actually broke it. Yes, Radar is the dog's name.
I voted for Radar.
Yeah, I did as well, and I think that vote was like a landslide.
Landslide, yeah. 740 votes for that name.
Actually, my original name was Troop. I liked Troop. I thought that was a cute one, but I'm happy with Radar.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we, morale is, you look at morale in different ways because you have your brand new rookies who they need to learn basics, but they're also eager because we grew up and they grew up in the light of CSI and get everything done and learn this job and know everything about it quickly. So you need to keep them involved. So in Pelham, what we do is we do kind of farm teams. So crime scene, farm teams, that there are backups for the detectives because there's going to be some crime scenes that detectives alone can't handle. So we now do training and you get them, you build their resume to have working knowledge to do smaller scenes and assist with the larger scenes. That plays a role in morale. We're doing a new path right now. We just restructured our command structure. So I have a lieutenant who is a support services lieutenant, and he is doing a training path for every employee. That training path is important because we have goals and we know we have to keep that basic foundation with details, and we need to keep them on a path to continue developing them. But they also have their own goals and interests. So now this puts it all in play and we can spell it out for a 5-year plan with, all right, so this year you need to get basic interview and interrogation, you're brand new. Advanced roadside impairment because we have a lot of impaired drivers out there. So there is game plans for everyone. But them having some feedback into this builds that morale. You have ownership. I feel like I work for them more than they have to work for me. They do work for me, believe me, because my expectations are pretty high. But it's my job to pay attention to the big lens and how do we keep them motivated to want to stay here. The competitive pay everywhere is huge. So you want people to be happy here, and that little bit of pay difference doesn't matter at the end of the day if someone's enjoying walking through the door and they have some ownership. One officer just said to me last week, I had to call him about something, and he said, I just want to let you know something that's awesome that's going on. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, we're rolling on a regular basis. Well, that's jiu-jitsu in our tactical room that we physically put together ourselves before the town appropriated federal funding to build our expansion. We weren't waiting for that expansion project to be put together because we needed a place for defensive tactics. So we built that room. They're rolling there regularly on Saturday and Sunday mornings, and he's like, it's getting bigger and bigger. He's like, it is the best thing I've seen.
That's cool.
And like that builds morale. And then there's some ownership with that. So there are, I think morale is pretty good. I just had one-on-one meetings with all employees. I hadn't done that since I sat down at the beginning of my new role as a chief, and just gives them an opportunity to say, what's going well, what's not, and like what are some improvements that we can do. How can leadership better support you in your work path and your goals and whatnot. So you got to show interest, and then you need to care about people's families. Wellness is important. We just established a resiliency unit, and that is peer-led. And we had a family night where we brought counselors in, and they just discussed like overall what to see, what they should see, what to expect, day in the life of a cop, and then you're coming home and things that can happen. Yeah. So you got to do. You got to show people that you care, and don't be fake about it. Know people's names, know their kids' names.
That's awesome.
I will say, maybe I just never paid attention until I moved to Pelham. You're visible all the time.
Yeah.
And I lived in Wakefield. I've lived in Medford and Tewksbury and Wilmington, and I never saw community policing the way that we do in Pelham. How do you, and my uncle was a Lowell cop. My uncle was a 35-year veteran of the Lowell Police Department. I have enormous respect for the badge. How do you keep from becoming jaded? You see us at our worst. You see horrible things. Your rookies this year have seen numerous fatalities. How do you, I'm trying to find the words, because when I encounter police officers, even the officers I don't know, and I think I know a good amount of them, they are always upbeat. They're always warm and welcoming and polite and friendly. How do you stay that way after seeing the level of things that you do? Yeah,
first, I attribute that level of community policing and engagement started with Evan Haglund as our chief, continued with Joe Rourke, has continued with me, and that level of expectation of community outreach and partnership. It's built right into our mission statement. We're having a partnership. We're going to work together, and you need the community, and the community needs us.
Yeah.
And we embed that into our field training program. So from day one, that is a level of expectation. Also, through our hiring, though, we're not hiring someone who just wants to go give someone a ticket every single time and doesn't want to converse. Are they okay waving to people in the neighborhood or getting out of a car and playing basketball? We need people with life skills to step in the door here. So we're recruiting a specific mold, and you have to do that for that team aspect. You see the worst, and on occasion, there still is more good than there is bad, and we discuss that.
I agree.
But the bad stuff can be horrific, and you take the oath to deal with that and respond to it, but that doesn't mean you can't be a human. And we've changed across the state, and we're actively involved with that resiliency unit, the Southern New Hampshire Regional Stress Management Team. We do debriefings, for instance, after some fatalities, we do debriefings, officer-involved shootings, stuff that are like heavy, a lot of trauma.
Can you explain what a debriefing is?
A debriefing is, so you come together with a group.
Yep.
It's peer-led. It is led by people that have certifications that are protected through confidentiality because they got those certifications. So what is shared there is not privy to anyone, to include me. So I don't sit in those debriefs with them. And you talk about what took place, what to expect emotionally, physically, that it might not happen right now, it might happen. It's awareness more. And what are some things that we need to implement to take care of ourselves? And sometimes with this job, we know that it can cause mental health challenges. So how do you keep people on pace? You keep them on pace by a weight room that is so busy now with our employees, that's open 24/7, and you keep them busy with different activities, or like even having, we have like a potluck lunch that everyone brings food in right before the Christmas break, and their families come in, and you do that to keep people close and know that there's support there.
That's awesome. Chief, last year, and I'm not a little bit maybe of this year because it just started, we've seen a lot of influxes of motor vehicle accidents and a couple of fatalities in Pelham. What are the most common causes of these crashes? I mean, in town, I always feel like I'm on Facebook and I'm seeing these incidents that are just terrible. Yeah,
we've had a dark cloud over us for sure with fatalities over the last 2 years, not even just the past year. We had two, one day after the other within 24 hours on Mammoth Road last year, and then, or 2 years ago, and then last year. Mammoth Road seems to be our targeted road. However, statistically, we have more crashes on Bridge Street. So you have two corridors. You have your Bridge Street corridor, Route 38, or you have 128 on Mammoth Road. And this is, I can't speak directly to those causes because those are under investigation, and those, we don't release information with that. But what we are preliminary seeing is speed is definitely a factor, and distracted driving. So those are our two common, and specifically over this year. So, the message to the public is, first of all, like, you're responsible for your actions. And when you're not being responsible, you're putting other people's families in jeopardy. So if you're looking at your phone, if you're messing around with your phone or your radio to try and get certain music, and you're flying down a road, you are putting people's lives in danger.
Well, and I don't think the darkness of Pelham, not darkness, but the light, there's not that much light in the windy roads. It's just a lot of, I don't know.
I think, we've worked with New Hampshire DOT significantly. Executive Councilor Janet Stevens has been on board and even came down to some meetings. We changed the intersection of Talent and Keys Hill to a four-way stop.
Has that helped?
Huge.
Yeah.
So that might not mitigate all crashes, but it is mitigating our serious injuries. So it is accomplishing what it needs to do, and it's very minimum crashes that we've had at this point.
And folks need to know that that's a state road.
Correct. Yes.
That's not a town road. The town is not responsible for that. That's the state.
Right.
And for those of you watching at home, probably why it took so long to do something about it.
It did, but the state is working with us. They came in front of the Board of Selectmen, explained, here are some options. This is what we think. Ultimately, we're becoming the roundabout town. A roundabout would be ideal right there.
Roundabout capital of Southern Hampshire.
New Hampshire. And they actually would even like to see a roundabout at Mammoth and Nashua. So it is a state road. We patrol it. But they mandate, they're in charge of the speed limits. I rode with DOT and we discussed the passing zones. We took 2 passing zones away. There's talk about maybe a third being shortened up a little bit or possibly disappearing as well. But this is the thing. If you take a passing zone away on that entire stretch, people get annoyed.
Where is this being talked about for?
This is Mammoth Road.
On Mammoth.
Okay, on Mammoth, all right.
So if you take all the passing zones away and people are annoyed and they're frustrated and they're going to pass no matter
gonna pass
what.
anyway.
You rather control where they do pass, where it is the safest with the line of sight, than them just passing anywhere.
Yeah, I can
leading
actually,
to more
I can agree to
collisions.
that, because I don't know if you're the right person to confess this to, but when I'm driving on 38 and there's like a really slow person in front of me, I always think about passing, but then I'm like, there's way too many accidents in this town. I'm not, and I don't, but if I were to, I always think, well, I should wait till I get to the part where I can. So
Right.
I think that's a great idea. Not that I do, because I don't, because my mom would get mad at me. She yells at me every time. But
you're cognizant that it's dangerous.
Right.
And
Oh,
that is
100%.
what all we ask people to do.
Yeah.
You can think about it. You're entitled to be frustrated.
Right.
And when people are driving a little slower and you have some place to go, that's human nature. But making those decisions that might affect everyone's life for the rest of your life and theirs, pretty big.
yeah, and I think you being here, this kind of answers my next question, or at least some of it. How do you, I mean, you guys are so transparent, I feel, at least I've noticed. How do you import transparency with the police department in the community? Like, how does that go about?
That's showing up to different events, like community events out front. You're out there, you're having conversations. But honestly, right now, like back in the day, it used to be newspapers, the Pelham Wyndham News.
Yep.
It's also now through the Evergreen. It's through social media. And your transparency comes out in those messages.
Yeah.
You need to have conversations. If someone is having a problem, it is making sure that it is being addressed.
Yep.
And letting people have a voice.
Yeah.
And just because they might be having the worst day of their life, and part of my goals with all the officers is making sure you understand that it's fair and impartial policing. And how do we do that? By letting people have a voice. Let them talk. Don't assume you know why you're getting called there.
Yep.
Listen to what you don't know.
Yeah. My first interaction with the Pelham Police Department was when I first moved to Pelham. I was driving on Marsh Road near the high school where that fork in the road is, kind of, where you go on to Burns.
Yep.
But I was going straight toward Nashua. And I got pulled over because I was on the phone. And so that happened. And he
We're just racking up the fines here.
Yeah, he gave me a warning, which was very nice of him. I can't remember his name, but and then I seen him actually at Old Home Day, and he came up to me, and it was just like a great interaction. Like it was like a more of a learning moment than like a discipline moment. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I think you guys do such a great job doing that. I mean, people aren't scared of you guys, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place to have some command presence that where there's no, like we're not doing the community policing thing right now. There's a safety issue, something's going on, and we tactically work on those situations regularly behind the scenes. We're actually about to there's a house on Route 38 that is going to be knocked down soon, and we're doing training at it next week. You'll see signs out there, but that is a tactical training of simunitions where it's the layman, like the normal citizen would call that paintball.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But you have to train for those situations. You train for the high risk, low probability, and then you breathe when you can actually talk with the community.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Chief, we talked about, I want to go back, Nino, I'm going to go off topic a little bit.
Yeah.
We joked about being the roundabout capital of southern New Hampshire. How has the roundabout at the end of Sherburne Road helped traffic in that area?
Blessing.
Really?
Yes, completely. There were so many people that were so opposed to it that now drive through there and will have conversations with us and say that is the best thing. Never in my life did I expect. It is fantastic.
And it looks nice.
It was like a death trap doing traffic out there, just with the lighting, the amount of traffic, the speed limit. It is, that is a blessing.
This is at the end of Mammoth.
Yeah, Mammoth and Sherburne.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there will be one hopefully at Mammoth and Marsh. It just got pushed out a little bit.
Okay.
That's awesome.
We're not looking until 27 for that at this point.
27.
Well,
okay.
So talking about, cars and stuff like that, we've talked a little bit like accidents and all that. Can you explain to us, like, I don't know how much of this you know, but the new law regarding automotive inspection stickers and those changes? Because I know that's coming up the end of this month, I believe.
It is.
Next week?
New
Yeah.
Hampshire got rid of it as far as for passenger vehicles. So passenger vehicles, you no longer need to do an inspection, but that doesn't take away.
What do you mean by passenger vehicle?
Like
car.
your normal car that you
Oh,
don't
all right.
use for business. And
Oh,
then
okay.
there would be some passenger vehicles, a sedan, a regular truck that you might buy that might be registered as a commercial vehicle, and that might have to be inspected under
Okay.
federal regulations. But like trucks and whatnot, big trucks, stuff like that, still have to be inspected.
Okay.
So passenger vehicles no longer have to be inspected. But that does not take away the responsibility that you have as the owner to make sure your tires aren't bald, that you have working and safe equipment, you don't have cracks in your windshield that will deter you from seeing things properly, your lights still work, you have mirrors. So those are equipment violations that you can still be cited for.
All right, because that was my question. Like, who enforces that then? If
Those were infractions that the police could have enforced in the past, different equipment violations that fall under the inspection. Now you just don't need the sticker, but there's still that responsibility to make sure your car is
so,
safe.
like, so if I guess like how someone would get caught with those things. So like if you maybe you're speeding and you get pulled over, and you're on the phone, you get pulled over, and then the cop notices like you have a cracked windshield or a mirror missing or a light out or something, then that's how they find these things, or else how
Yes,
else?
and sometimes we see the cracked windshield. Sometimes we see the mirrors missing,
Okay.
or the headlight out, or your brake lights out, stuff like that. So those
good
are valid,
idea?
valid
Good idea or bad?
reasons.
I have an answer for that too.
In my opinion, we will see how things go. I think the checks and balances were worthwhile, keeping that in place.
Yeah.
But that is above my pay grade, and that's a legislative effort that passed. So I would have liked to see the inspection stay, because I think that's just one more thing to make sure that people are keeping their vehicles safe on the road.
Can you still get an inspection sticker even though it isn't
I am sure you can.
necessary?
Yeah, but that equipment's probably pretty pricey. So I don't know how long people will keep that around.
So I go to Woody's.
Yep.
My inspection sticker expires in August on my birthday. Can I still go into Woody's in August and get an inspection sticker?
I would imagine you can.
Okay.
Unless that equipment doesn't exist there anymore. But what I would say is, at a minimum, I think people should be going in and doing diagnostic testing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so I have a question. Like, why would you want to get an inspection sticker if you don't have to? I'm just wondering. That might be a question that people might have.
Because you might have a safety issue that is not actually visible to you, that they can pick up
Yeah,
in the diagnosis.
right, because you still want to drive safely.
Chief, couple more questions. With all of the snow that we've had, tell us about Jessica's Law, how it comes into play, why it's so important.
Yeah, it is the death of Jessica Smith in '99 led to that law. So Jessica's Law was put in place to make sure people, in this instance, the tragedy and loss of life, because a tractor trailer did not clean off the top of the tractor trailer, and it had some ice on it. That ice came down, hit the windshield, and tragically caused the death of an individual, leading to the law. So it is just that responsibility to make sure you literally take the time to clean the top of your roof off. We are about to get an enormous storm on Sunday. When you decide to leave, you need 10 extra minutes to clear your car off. So if you think that you just need your front windshield cleared, that's not true, because as you're traveling down the roadway, that snow is going to blow off, and it could inhibit someone's visual out of their own windshield when they're not expecting it and cause a crash. Or if it's ice, same thing.
If I don't, can I be pulled over and ticketed?
Definitely. First offense, $310 fine. Yep.
Ouch.
Ouch, but worth it.
But worth it.
Yep,
And you could save a life.
you could.
And
Yep.
money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you might even find us pulling someone over and having them clean the top of their car, and that's their warning. And next time they get a citation, that's a possibility.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. We appreciate you being our first guest and we've loved having you here. If you could leave Pelham residents with one message tonight, what would it be?
Be patient with our puppy. The puppy will be out and about, but the dog needs all his vaccinations. So Radar is his name, and he will be out and about. And that is just one more partnership with the community. That majority of it is funded through the nonprofit, through the Pelham Police Relief Association. And then, but on a larger scale, so the puppy I'm going light with because the puppy's an awesome addition.
Yeah.
But on a larger scale, I think that, please be careful when you're driving. We have had we always have a lot of crashes. We, believe it or not, do not have more crashes in 25 compared to 24. We actually have the exact same, 225. Really? So but we did have 3 fatalities. Please be careful. Put your phones down, slow yourself down. Give yourself 10 extra minutes so you don't have to pick up the pace of your vehicle and be under that pressure. Take a breath.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for coming here, and I really appreciate you being our first guest and for all the work that the police department does. You guys do an absolutely incredible job. At least that's my opinion, and I believe that's the opinion of many people in Pelham, and we really can't thank you guys enough for all that you guys do. We really appreciate it. So thank you for being here, and thank you to your amazing staff, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you. They are amazing staff.
Thank you.
Good people, good character.
Yes. Thank you for your
we
service.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And your dedication to the community. Appreciate you.
And thank you for those of you watching at home. We hope to see you next time. Remember, if it matters in Pelham, it's on the Pulse.
Have a good night, folks.
You're watching the Pelham Pulse with Nino and John. If you have topic interest, questions, or comments, please write to thepelhampulse@gmail.com. You're watching the Pelham Pulse with Nino and John. If you have topic interest, questions, or comments, please write to thepelhampulse@gmail.com.